I was rolling this out and I was thinking, my gosh, what do I talk about? And we as women, we can talk about many different things. Don't you agree? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, tons of things. It could be ourselves, our attitude, our self-esteem, our working, anything. So, in a sense, when I was at home, when Sean and I were sitting down and we were watching the CBC, I actually was watching an interview with several women around a round table. Do not quote me on their names, but they were talking about menopause. And that's when I said, okay, I am 61, I'm proud to say it. You're supposed to say, really? Right?
Give us a chance.
Oh, okay, all right. 61, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of where my life has taken me. And I thought to myself, holy cow, this would be a great topic. So I met Kelly, and we're going to have a beautiful presentation. And then, long story short, Kelly's here. So Kelly Nolan is an author of Restore Your Life. She's a women's health expert and a pharmacist. I don't like to actually tell you every single thing. If you've seen my shows, if you've seen my platform, I love the guests to talk about it and brand what they're doing. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Kelly Nolan.
Thank you, Joy.
Hi, hon.
Thanks for being here, ladies. This is really exciting for me. I'm always in my glory when I'm in a group of women like this, that we can connect and ask questions and learn. So yes, I am a pharmacist. I am retired. I was a pharmacist for 30 years. I also took pharmacotherapy from the University of Florida. And for 10 years, I actually had a compounding lab where I made bioidentical hormones. And we can talk more about that later. I did it for 10 years, and I combined it with the saliva hormone test. And what would happen is when we get the test back, the clients would have 3 different options: the bioidentical hormones, natural supplements, or a combination of both. It really depended on that test. But flash forward to 2019, and I just felt that wasn't my cup of tea anymore. I've always been a natural person. I'm not on any medication, and I'm lucky. And I just found women were gravitating more towards a natural supplement. So I sold the pharmacy, and I narrowed down to working still with the saliva test, but definitely the natural supplements that I've been working with for 25 years. And I have a really strong following of women on the supplements because they really see the benefits and how it not only balances their hormones, but it also optimizes their health. And recently, I actually became a director of integrative pharmacies for WellPoint Canada because they are expanding into the Caribbean, Panama, and they've asked me to go online and actually train their healthcare professionals. I won't be traveling there. Not yet anyways, so I mean, I'm happy that everything is online.
Awesome.
And I am the proud mom of 4 healthy children as well.
Yes, yes, you are, hon. Okay, so I've got some questions for Kelly. All right, my love. Why is menopause and prior such a challenging time in a woman's life?
I see it as a very challenging time because women just aren't prepared. And they're too distracted. Let's face it, we're busy. We're busy on the home front, maybe busy on the career front, busy with parents that are aging. We're just very distracted. And we really don't have any expectation of what's going to happen when we hit menopause. And then all of a sudden, I think we wake up one morning and realize, we look in the mirror, our bodies change. Did it happen gradually? Was I just not paying attention to what was going on? And then all of a sudden, we find ourselves in that place of being extremely overwhelmed with symptoms. And where do we go for answers? Do we do what our mother did, our sister, our cousin? Do we go shotgun and go to the health food store and hope for the best? You know, there's just so many different options. But what I want women to understand is we are all individuals. So nothing is a cookie cutter. What worked for your mom, your friend, it may not work for you because of your own natural chemistry of hormones, maybe your history, your medication, maybe you've had a hysterectomy. So there's a lot of pieces that come into making that person an individual and really finding what's true to them.
Okay. What's the one assumption women make about menopause? This is a good one. Yes.
I like this one. So most of us would say that when we're in menopause, we have no estrogen. Apparently, I have no estrogen. It's all gone. I'm in menopause. And I would say, well, scientifically, that's not feasible. Your body does need estrogen. Yes, it may be low, but please don't go and start taking HRT thinking that your estrogen is low until you actually have it properly tested. So I had a client recently on the West Coast, and she was very surprised to find out that her estrogen was actually high. And that can be caused by multiple reasons: past medication, digestive issues, liver issues, maybe what you're eating, maybe you have a little bit of that menopause muffin top, on your belly. So there's a number of factors that come into play there.
Wow. And I just want to interject for a second there. You say HRT?
Hormone replacement therapy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, my love. Why did you write that wonderful book, Restore Your Life?
I wrote Restore Your Life actually as a gift to women, like a gift of hope, and to educate them and to help them to recognize that they actually can find answers for themselves. So in April 2021, I found myself listening to this master class. Those things come into your email, you don't even know how they arrive there. But there was a gentleman that wrote a book called Write Your Book in a Flash. Mm-hmm. And he said how easy it is for us to write books when we're an expert. But at that point, I didn't realize I was an expert. I was just talking the talk that I do every day for a very long time. And he made it sound so simple to write this book. By this time in your career, you've written blogs, you've written articles, just expand on those. You don't want it to be a long book because people don't have a lot of attention span. So that's really how the book came. And I never was scared to write the book. Like they say that we all have a book within us or a story to tell, but unfortunately not everyone has the courage to write it. But I definitely knew I could write the book. I didn't know how long it would take, so Dan Janelle, write your book in a flash, not so true. Not if you want to become number one, just saying, right? If you want to really write a good book, it takes time and a lot of effort. And I wonder sometimes, what would have happened if I never wrote that book, because it's become such an attraction for women, and I'm so complimented by that. Awesome. But it did take a year and a half.
You see, okay, you stole that question, because I was going to ask you that. How long did it take you to write that wonderful book?
A year and a half.
A year and a half.
For a few reasons. A few months in, I had my own personal challenges.
Yes.
As you know, that kind of derailed my pathway for a little bit. I had a ghostwriter who did say to me that it had to come from my voice, so she wasn't the writer, she was the critic, checking the grammar, you're repeating yourself, you need more here. So I ended up writing the whole book on my own, and that's fine. I'm very proud of that. And just based on my own life experience, what I did is I really created, I feel, more of a teaching platform with the emphasis of self-care for women. Because yes, we're talking about menopause, but one of those pieces is self-care. What can we do to not only balance our hormones, but optimize our health?
Okay, this is good, eh, ladies? Mm-hmm. Taking it all in? Because I sure am. Okay, what are you hoping women will get out of this book?
This book is really an interactive book. So it offers women a lot of resources, a lot of tools, stories of real women. So yes, there is that little science in there. I mean, I had to, but I didn't want to make it too sciencey because I wanted it to be more engaging for women. So every chapter tells a story of a real woman and what she went through and what I taught her and what her outcome was. And there's a little trail, like I like to lead everyone from one chapter to another. We start by talking about, the first chapter, it's not your fault, no one told you the answers. Another chapter, adrenal fatigue, if only I knew. Well, we don't know all these things, so nobody tells us that. But what I really wanted is women to resonate with the stories, to really have some aha moments of recognizing these women as themselves and then getting that understanding. So I tell them to get a highlighter, get a pen. It's interactive. There's checklists, there's tools in there. I used to like to keep my books nice and neat and tidy. I don't do that anymore because I need to have a quick way of going back and looking at certain parts that mean something to me. So that's what I wanted for women when they read that book.
You can't leave without getting one of these books. You gotta have
Oh,
one.
sorry, I'll just say one more thing.
Sure.
It's in 2 sections. So the first section is more of the learning platform with some resource tools, and the back is the integrative plan. Where would you start, and how would you start to put together these steps for yourself?
Awesome, Kelly. What is the first thing a woman should do if she believes she's experiencing menopausal symptoms? Did I say that right? Menopausal.
Yes. Well, the first thing she needs to do is to have herself properly tested. So one of the chapters in my book is called The Secret. Well, the secret of menopause is the blueprint, and the blueprint is getting that saliva test, because that saliva test really is what drives that journey. Otherwise, as I said, it's really a guessing game, and sometimes we can go down the wrong road of medication, or we can just get really frustrated because whatever we're taking, it's not that there's no harm, it's just not strong enough, it's not dosed properly to you, it's not based on anything to do with your history. So the first step always is to get that proper testing done. You know, you don't go on a road trip without a map, right?
True.
So we're on a journey and you need a map to follow.
Great stuff. How do you compare a saliva test versus bookwork?
Blood work.
Blood work. Blood work.
Well, that's a common question. That's why I brought it up, because a lot of women will go to their doctor and get blood work. But reality is that doesn't really, it doesn't tell enough of a story. Because if you think of hormones and blood, your blood is a transport system. So your hormones are just continuously moving in and out. It really is not an accurate reading of where your hormone levels are at this time. For thyroid is fine. If certain levels are extremely high in your blood, then they're very high in your body, but that's really about all that you're going to take away from that blood test. The saliva test is a very accurate test that's done at a cellular level, and it actually gives us 5 different readings. So it comes back to what is the most accurate test. And it's very convenient because you do it at home. You don't go to a lab. So it's done in the convenience of your home. But the bottom line is the accuracy.
So you can do it at home and
Yep.
yourself?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, this is good. All right, what are the 4 pillars of women's health?
The 4 pillars of women's health that I started to teach was stress management, lifestyle or nutrition, exercise or motion, and of course hormone balance. So if you look at a typical woman, and we're all different, some of us are good in certain pillars, some of us aren't so good in others. Maybe I've had trainers come to me that struggle with their weight. Well, they know how to ramp up the exercise, but their hormones still aren't balanced. So at a certain age, exercise is important, or motion is lotion, as I say. Movement is medicine. But doing an hour of cardio 3 or 5 times a week is actually going to work against your body at that point.
Really?
Yes. You're off the hook. Because it's going to spike your cortisol. It's just your body cannot accept that kind of training. Now, some people can if that's been who they are their whole life. But however, again, if they don't have that hormone balance, that piece is missing. And if you think of the saliva test for me, it's more than just showing women those 5 hormone levels. I'm helping them to make the connections of chemistry also between how they're eating and how that could be affecting their hormone levels also. So if you exercise and your sugar is still high, it's going to be an issue for you. If you're not in control of your stress management, which became an issue in my life, that's going to set you off kilter. And eventually there's just this tipping point where your body can't get back on track enough. So I'm really stressing to women these 4 pillars of health, and understand that you're not going to do them all at once necessarily, right? You need to take inventory once in a while, even I do, with how I'm eating. But even small, consistent changes every day can make a big difference for you.
What's the 4 again? Sorry, repeat.
Stress management, hormone balance, exercise, and lifestyle or nutrition. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Okay, that's fast.
Sure.
Just about the saliva test. I'm just curious if that's a normal procedure, if that's done with doctors, if that's normal practice, or if that's something you have to do on your own, like for women's health. 'Cause often
Well,
they're
no,
trying to-
the medical mainstream doctors will not embrace that kind of
So
test.
where do you get those tests? How do you access them?
I sell them.
Oh, okay. You
Yeah,
just buy
there's,
them
yeah,
privately?
yeah, I've been working with that since 2007. I actually was trained by a doctor that used to be with a lab called Rocky Mountain in Calgary. So it's just the mainstream medicine does not accept that kind of testing.
Women's health is always like behind.
Well, the thing is, like, you can go to your doctor, but guess what? Menopause is not a disease state, it's a transition. So be happy if he doesn't give you anything. That's my point. Say thank you. You know, I have clients that go in to want to talk about their hormones and they come out with a cholesterol medication, you know? And they go, what about my hormones? Oh, we'll talk about that next time. So, yeah.
That's why it's so important for women to educate themselves, because I wasn't even aware that there are tests you could do.
Yeah.
You know, that can show your hormone imbalance and menopausal, and I wasn't even aware of that. So, and of course, doctors are not going to mention that to you.
Yeah, most women
So
aren't aware.
It's really important
Yeah,
to yeah,
most of us aren't aware.
yeah. But how do you get these information though? You know, it's
You have to
how
come,
do you know where to look? You don't even know what to look for. You don't even know that there's something you need to look for.
you don't actually
You
at all.
just happen to stumble on it.
Right.
It's not fair to women though, is it?
I'm sorry?
So it's not fair to women though, is it?
No, it's not. That's why we're here,
That's why we're here.
right?
Great questions, though. This is awesome. Okay,
We should probably leave them till the next phase, though.
okay, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. What is adrenal fatigue? How is it best treated?
Adrenal fatigue is another unknown area for women. If you knew about it, when you're about 45, you would start supporting your adrenal gland because you would understand that as you go into menopause and your ovaries aren't functioning anymore, eventually they deplete themselves of hormones and it's your adrenal gland. But most women are not prepared for that. They've never heard of that. So a common hormone that we all know from the adrenal gland is cortisol. So the adrenal gland controls two different hormones, cortisol and another one called DHEA, which is actually responsible for making other hormones. So if we're not prepared, which most of us aren't, we go into what we call a state of adrenal fatigue. It's not a diagnosis. Again, it's a symptom or a condition of menopause. And at that time, a lot of women will feel extremely fatigued. They may have a lot of brain fog, lack of clarity, their anxiety is high, they're moody and irritable, they're just not in control of their emotions and their environment. So that is a very big area that we look at during menopause. And if you think of your cortisol being high and you're eating a lot of sugar, that's the science of nutrition and how it can affect your hormone levels.
Wow. What is estrogen dominance? Why is it a concern?
So estrogen dominance, as I mentioned in the beginning, I mentioned the woman that was surprised her estrogen was high. If someone has very high estrogen, they do have certain health risks, such as heart attack, breast cancer. I'm not predicting that for them by any means, but I'm just encouraging them that if their estrogen is high, it is an important area for us to bring down.
Why is it often so difficult for women to release unwanted weight?
Why is it so difficult?
Yes. Why?
Because their metabolism and their chemistry is so off. And, you know, I get a lot of women coming to me just so discouraged and frustrated and uncomfortable. Their self-esteem is taking a hit. They just really don't feel well because they can't seem to release this unwanted weight that's come on them really quickly. But their chemistry is off. So we can combine balancing the hormones with nutrition, but I wouldn't just do the nutritional side because really the longevity to releasing weight is to balancing those hormones. So unfortunately for them, they get frustrated because whatever worked in the past is not working. They feel like they're gaining weight without even eating a lot. It's a really frustrating time and a really big hit on their self-image. But the other thing I'm teaching them now is that when we start to work to release weight, it's not a diet, it's not deprivation, it's a choice, because the goal is we want to optimize your health. And in order to do that, we need to look at a couple aspects for them.
I'm learning as we speak, Kelly.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, hon. How do you structure an integrative plan for self-care?
Again, I think that's it's a continuum for women. So what I'm working to do is to give them the starting point and the tools of what self-care would look like for them. So I'll give you an example for myself. When I get up in the morning, I don't look at my phone right away. I don't look at my computer. And this all started actually during the pandemic because I wasn't commuting. So I had more time to sit quietly, and I actually sit quietly. So I suggest to women that perhaps the first starting point is, let's look at your morning structure. What can you do for yourself? Well, I'm too busy because I got to go here and there. Okay, but you could just back up your day 15 minutes, right? Just take that 15 minutes for yourself. Sit quietly. You know, I used to sit quiet, meditate, like pick something that speaks to you. Do 10 minutes of journaling, 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of movement. Just start with something really small. So the integrative plan, you know, there's a few pillars that we've talked about, but I think there can be an easy starting point. However, you need to be accountable to yourself, and you need to be consistent. You know, women struggle a lot with sleeping. So how do they think that they're going to start going to the gym when they're not sleeping well and their energy, you know, is in their boots? Well, I suggest to them, besides, you know, what we would do from a natural perspective with supplements, is what about doing 10 minutes of meditation before you go to bed? Well, I can't do that. I know, it was a hard one for me too, but just consider it. What if something simple like that would help you to be more settled at night, because you're releasing, you know, all those thoughts from your subconscious mind of everything that went on during that day. So the structure is, there's multiple pieces to it. Everyone has to find their sweet spot of where they can start, where they know that they're going to be successful. Okay, I know I really can start this tomorrow or that tomorrow.
That's keeping the balance too, right?
Go for a walk 15 minutes 3 times a day.
Well, you got to have a lot of questions after this, Kelly. Yes, you are. Okay. Where was I? I just wrapped up on what you just said. Sorry. What is your most asked question?
The most asked question I have from women is, why can't my doctor help me? And I just think we need to just kind of let that piece go. It's not the doctor's fault. They don't have the tools. As I would say, you're not in disease state. If they recommend medication, you may not want it. You know, it's, again, I don't judge, total personal choice, but you're not in disease state. So unless you're there needing a hysterectomy or an ablation, there's really not a lot they can offer. And as a pharmacist in mainstream for a long time, I saw a lot of treatments that I thought were very unsafe for women. You know, Premarin and Provera came back on after it had a black box warning. Women on birth control in their 50s to control their heavy bleeding. A lot of us on antidepressants, you know, anti-anxiety, blood pressure medication. This is where you can see where everybody's journey into menopause is going to be different, because if they're already starting menopause with disease state, like blood pressure or diabetes, then it's going to be a much different road for them.
Wow. You're very good. You're really good. You're welcome, hon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What is your final message?
I think the biggest message I have to women is, don't accept it. Like, don't accept this as part of aging. Don't accept this as I'm getting old. Don't accept it, because you don't have to. You can actually take control back. It's just you have to know what you're going to do that's really going to fit you as a person. So say all of us in this room suffered from hot flashes, night sweats. Would we all take the same thing? No, because you don't know which hormones are actually driving those symptoms. So until you know that piece, again, you don't really know how to do that treatment. But my point to you is there is ways to take control back. I've seen it many times with women, hundreds of women, that have been able to get things back on track, feel like themselves again, not feel uncomfortable, and just feel really happy with the body that they've been able to recreate.
Okay, Kelly. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you.
That was incredible. Now, can I open up the floor for questions?
Let's just take a little break and then we'll come
Okay,
back.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll take a little break and we'll be right back.
Thank you.